Today in this session, we're going to be looking about creating a stellar launch plan. It is that moment where you're going to get your art seen and heard. It's that moment where all your hard work starts coming together and you have a clear ideas, clear plan to get it out there, whether that's a short launch plan or a lengthy launch plan. We're going to be looking at different forms, different types of launch strategies that you can use and how you can set about each phase, because there's 3 phases of a launch plan. So that's what we're going to be looking at in the session, and hopefully you'll be inspired about what's possible for your art and for your art business. We are in a series in September where we are looking at our new season. The summer has gone if you're in Northern Europe, or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere like I am, then spring is about to come. There's a transition time around September, and we're heading towards those final months of the year. These are important revenue months where you can still make a difference for your art and for your art business. So it's not time to sit back and relax. Of course, it should be stress-free, but you can still accelerate. You can still make plans to get reproductions out there. Maybe you're doing that calendar, like I know Jan is going to print and bring out a calendar. You have the Christmas month, the Thanksgiving, Santa Claus, all those special months, revenue months also in November, December, that you can just go that extra mile to get your art out there. That's what we've been looking at in September. If you haven't looked at the previous sessions, please go back, because it will help you with your productivity to plan ahead. Things aren't just going to happen if you're just wishing it and hoping it. You need to get really strategic. And I was just talking to Sonia, who's in this community regularly. She said, I've got my planner, Sonia, for 2022. That makes me really happy, because on paper, it makes it so much easier. And whether that you're sketching or you're doing doodling or you put it down on a piece of paper in front of your computer or easel, I advise you to get a big planner so that you can see your year, get an understanding of your year, of your quarters, what's going to be happening in a month from now, what's going to be happening in 6 months from now. And you might not know it in detail, but you'll have an idea of things that are going to be happening and what you should be joining in, collaborations or events or a new work that you want to be making. Get it down on paper, because that's, you already have so much going on in your head and in your heart. On paper makes a huge difference. So well done, Sonia, for getting that. And so we looked at designing your new season, planning your next success steps, how to create that stellar launch plan. That's what we're looking at today. And the next week, we're going to be looking at creating more impact with your art, how to elevate your art. And there's wonderful ways that you can use to do that. Last session of the month will be a Q&A session. Before we get into creating that stellar launch plan, just briefly about me if you're joining for the first time, because I know there's people, artists are joining every week. I'm just so inspired every week with all the new faces and the new artists that have been joining our community from all over the world with different art forms. And so welcome to you. My name is Sonia Small here. I'm passionate about all things art and creativity. I believe it's super important. I'm originally from South Africa, moved to the Netherlands for 33 years, and have just recently re-immigrated back to beautiful Cape Town, South Africa. I'm an artist. I studied art myself at the academy. I ventured into many creative businesses and have found the balance between my art and my entrepreneurship, and that is exciting to me, is to build businesses. And I help artists now all over the world to build business structures around there. It's making your art, but you're getting your art sold. And that means that you can support your lifestyle, the lifestyle that you so are looking forward to or aspire to live. So I do coaching sessions. So if you are stuck and you're wanting to go to a next level, next step with your art, or set up your art business, then book a coaching session. It is an investment, but you'll have someone cheering you on, having that little bit of accountability, getting clear, getting all those cobwebs sorted out, getting out of the mist, and start getting really intentional about the things that you're doing. You can do it, and you'll find that on my website, the coaching trajectories. And I have a course that comes out every year, which I'll share a little bit about. I love seeing artists succeed. Art is super important. I say this every week when I'm here in this group. You are important. What you have to say matters. There is someone out there waiting and longing for what you have to make, and we're all different. You won't be able to please, and you won't be hanging on everyone's wall or being able to make products that appeal to everyone, but you will have that someone specific, someone who feels and thinks and sees the world like you, or is inspired by your point of vision. So what you have, what you do, what you are experiencing, sometimes so deeply, there are people waiting for it. So it makes a huge difference. Creativity, I can't imagine this world without color, without creativity, without motion, without movement, without books, without song, without beautiful art, design, prints. No, we can go endlessly on and on where art is so important. I have podcasts that come out regularly and resources available for artists. So check that out when you're visiting my website, soniasmallhere.com. You'll find all kinds of resources, all kinds of topics around art and art business. And as already mentioned, once a year, I open the doors to the Working Artist course, which is a framework. It really puts everything that I teach also in these groups together in a framework so that you're not trying to get everything together. I have it sorted out for you. It's a 12-week course that goes from March to June, and that's in 2022. You can join the waitlist to be informed about the course. You are in the Help I'm Artist Facebook community. It's called Help I'm Artist for a reason, because we all could do with some help. You very often are working alone, and the community aspect of this group is so important. So please feel free to share in the group, share your art, share your contact details, share questions, inspire each other, encourage one another, because that can make a huge difference. Very often I get remarks from people that are joining the group. It's like, I just need to be surrounded by other creatives. I have, my family, my friends, they don't all understand me. I need a community, and that's why I started this community. So you're most welcome if you are here for the first time. Just going to head over to the comments to see who is in the house, because I see there are people that have joined, and so welcome to here that have been joining live. I see, of course, Jan is here, and we already welcome Jan. I see Sue is here. I see Miles is here from Amsterdam. Hello, Miles. Monica. Monica is in my mentoring program. So good to have you here, Monica. Always lovely to have you in the community. Please feel free to share your details and follow along in the session. Creating that stellar launch plan. That's what we're zooming in on this Wednesday afternoon. Having that effective launch starts by having those effective steps that you've put into a plan. So not just random, I feel it, I do it. No, it's putting it into a plan. And we're going to be looking at what a launch is. Let's break that down. An art launch or launch, whatever. We are artists here, but it can be for all kinds of businesses, refers to a planned and coordinated effort, so it's something intentional, to release a new product, a painting, an event. Can have many, many reasons. So you're making it available to your public. So you're making it visible and available. That's what I mean when I'm talking about a launch. And it doesn't only have to be for purchasing, it can be other reasons, but mostly it is for a purchase moment when you've finished a body of work or you've created that one painting and you want to share it with your community, with your followers. You have an intentional launch plan. And your launch goal will vary depending on where you are in your artist journey. Maybe you're just starting out and you are launching a website. You're launching your social media channel. Maybe you've just joined Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, or you've started a new profile or a new page. You can launch that. You can make it visible to your audience. You can do the drum roll and get people excited about the things that you're doing. So depending where you are, if you're starting, experienced, or you are emerging, you will have different launch goals. And of course, your preferences. We will look at some of these art launch strategies because they're different. There's a different tactic for each of these strategies. And it needs to suit your lifestyle, it needs to suit your preferences, it needs to suit your art form. So that will vary. So as we go through these forms, just think what would suit you, what would suit your lifestyle, your income, or your business needs. So whether you're a starter, you're emerging, or experienced, I just want to say this up front so you take the pressure off. You have to function and work where you are right now and get a good assessment. Okay, this is where I am on my artist journey. So then I choose a tactic, I choose a strategy that is suiting for where I am in my journey. And you will grow. And this is something that you will develop over time. So don't think you need to go and do all these strategies and you need to be everywhere and to everyone. That's not effective. You need to be right where you need to be to reach your audience through what you are making at this time. And then have that aspiration on the horizon. That's where you're working towards. But please don't feel pressured to be able to have to do everything at once. So there's different launch goals, whether that's to introduce yourself as maybe you're a starter and you just are making art, and you can launch some kind of video about yourself. You can launch something, your bio, or you can launch a little story about yourself, introducing people to your work and to your business or your website. You spend so much time on your new website. Create a launch plan for it. So it's not just going in on the air without any attention. Because the more you get people excited about what you're doing, that anticipation is going to be the engine, the motor that's going to lift off and make what you're doing far more visible and get in so that people pay attention. Or you're building an audience. Maybe you have your newsletter. You're building an email list. You want to share your progress. It's not just selling. Of course, it is the selling moment that's important in your business, but it doesn't have to be just for selling. It can be for promoting. It can be for interacting. It can be for events. It can be for collaborations, etc., etc. So get really clear about what your goal is. So ask yourselves these questions. Go back and look at the replay or make a screenshot and see, what is my launch goal? Why is it that I'm wanting to get this out there? What is it that I want to achieve? What do I want to see as an effect of my launch plan? So start at the end, like I teach my students, is reverse engineer your vision. So what is your vision? Maybe you have something coming up in November. Be very clear. It's like, okay, I want to then launch my collection, my body of work of 25 pieces. They're this and this size, they're this and this price range, for this and this market, and you are here now. So what steps do you need to take to get there so that you can start building that anticipation for your art audience? What is it that you want to say? Or how are you going to say it? What marketing materials do you have available? Do you have printed out forms? Do you have a portfolio? Do you have an active social media presence? Are you using your website? Do you have a newsletter? Get a sort of a inventory of what you have. All these channels are communicating channels. That's what marketing is. It's connecting and communicating with a specific audience that you've thought about and doing very intentionally. So if you get that very clear, who are you reaching, your inventory of all the channels you can use, you can start putting and pouring that into some kind of plan and looking at what kind of effect you want, because that effect will determine the steps that you can be taking. So have a think about that. If you've got events coming up, write it and pour it into a plan. There are different strategies. We're going to look at 5 in this session that you can use. These are different approaches of how you can approach launching. And the first one is a daily launch. You can launch daily. These are quick releases that you can do daily. You can do a weekly launch. You can do a monthly launch. You can do a quarterly launch or a half-year launch, or even an annual launch. And different artists choose different tactics, and this is something that you can grow into. And depending on your art form, your art audience, also your personality, to launch specifically in some kind of cycle. We work in the creative cycle. I've shared that in previous sessions so that you have some kind of structure, so that you're not randomly just doing things. You are structuring your art business, your art bodies of work, and how you're going to get them out there, because that's going to make life so much easier for you. But let's just zoom in on these different strategies, and we start with the daily strategy. Let me introduce you to Rachel Tennerlach. Some of you might know her. She's an art expert in some of my sessions. She has been on my podcasts. So please go look on my website if you're wanting to know more about her. She has a podcast where she shares her business strategies. And she started a daily painting challenge many years ago, and she did that for a few years consecutively, releasing a painting every day. This gave her a beautiful momentum in her business. Every day she'd paint something, whether it was in the morning, noon, or night, something that she came across, and she did a quick painting that didn't take her more than an hour, and then she'd post it on her social channels, and then it was in her Etsy store. So there was some of the process. Everyone knew every day Rachel would be posting her latest painting. And really, people were starting to look forward to it. It's like, what is she there? Where is she now? Is she outside? Is she inside? Is she with her kids? Is she with, in the nature? And so this built anticipation and expectation with her following. And that really boosted her social presence. She had content, which made a huge difference. She wasn't trying to think, what am I going to be posting on today? It was clear within a clear framework. And then she'd post things on Etsy. So she had an Etsy shop where she would sell these daily paintings. So maybe you've been part of a challenge. This really helps the momentum because you have some kind of theme, you're working on it, and it builds momentum. Of course, your art form needs to facilitate this. Be something that it's slow drying, a lot of process. This is not a strategy for you, but it's something for you to think about because this really infused her core business, and that was her fine art business, where she worked with environmental organizations and took a long time on other work. So this was a strategy that she used, the quick releases, the daily paintings, and this is something Corinne did too. She's an alumna of the Working Artist course. She did a daily art challenge for a few months where she released a painting every day, and she then bundled it into a collection and then later presented, and the exhibition has now also not only been exhibited in the Netherlands but also in Germany. So it was something that she released every day. It was a quick release. It was a daily launch. So there was the process, the making, the title, the price, and then the visibility to our audience. It's available. You can buy it. It's in the collection. So maybe that's something for you. Anyone else in the group here done a daily painting challenge or has released daily work? It's a quick turnover, gives you that extra income, and it really helps with your visibility and content online. So let me know if this is something that you have done before. There are still 4 other strategies, but maybe there's someone in the group, in the community, that has done something daily. Then please let me know. I know there's a delay in the feed, so I always have to just take a minute. Hello, Maria. Good to have you in the group. Wonderful to see you. Anyone done a daily launching quick releases? Then please add it to the comments. Also in the replay, as I mentioned, you are welcome to use the replay comments in the replay because we will see these comments in the feed. Then we have a weekly launch strategy, and maybe that's something for you. Is releasing a piece once a week on a specific time, a specific moment, or building a concept around your releases. So you're launching according to some kind of structure. So not maybe the daily, but a weekly. Can you think of something, a concept that you can pour around your releases and then communicate that on your social channels, website, newsletter, and in person if you're speaking and have in-person presence? For example, I brainstormed, and I know artists that have a Fresh Art Friday. Every Friday morning, they have art that's been released. They work on one painting a week, and then on Friday, it's released. They share their process on Instagram. They mention it in their newsletter, which they bring out weekly. And then there's a release where it's beautifully photographed or videoed. It's available for sale. And then it goes into the shop, online shop, Etsy shop, third-party platform where they're selling, but there is that momentum and anticipation that there is a new piece coming out every Friday. Your audience knows it. And we as human beings, we love rhythm. There's a rhythm and an expectation. So really having a concept will save you a lot of energy because you're not reinventing the wheel every time you want to bring out a collection. So have a think and see, maybe this is something your art form will facilitate. It is a weekly launch that you can show process, interact, ask for feedback, ask for people to help you with the title of the piece, and then you are launching it on the Friday, and then it's available for sale. Or maybe you have an art mood Monday that you're releasing it on the Monday. So that's something that you have to think about, a concept around your launching, so that you, and this is something you can grow towards. So as I mentioned, you need to do this is something you can work on, because you of course need to deliver the goods. If you're not showing up and you're not there on the Monday or the Friday, then of course this plan will not work. So it's something you need to think about. Can you deliver the goods? Can you be there and show up to launch weekly? Or you can show up every month. Maybe this is something that's more doable for you, that you have on a specific day, a specific time, you're releasing a new work. So, for example, 10 at 10, this is a whole marketing concept that you can create. So, on the 10th of every month at 10 a.m. or p.m., you are releasing a new work or series of work, or something in your collection, a product that you're making. There's a new 10 at 10 coming, and this is something you can put in your newsletter, you can put on your Instagram, you can make a nice logo, you can make a concept around this. And this, everyone will think, that what's going to be Monica's new 10 and 10, or Jan's new 10 and 10, or Sue or Miles's new 10 at 10 this month. And this already will create momentum. This is Amy Jury. She's an artist from the UK. And I'm not sure if this is 10 and 10, just something I've made up. Feel free to use it. You can do a 1 and 1, you can do a 12 and 12. I know in the Netherlands we have a siren every first Monday of the month. We have a siren that goes off because they want to check that all the communication works. And so this is at 12 p.m. every Monday, every Monday, first Monday of the month, the siren goes off. And I know artists that release a collection at that time. So when the siren goes off, they get a trigger. People, your audience gets a trigger. Hey, there's a new body of work coming out, or there's new product available in the shop. So can you think of something that you can do every month? That's something for you to think about. Then we have quarterly releases. And Jonas Smart is one of my favorites because he works in that collection model. He doesn't just release work sporadically. He first finishes a body of work. He announces that on his social channels. He is communicating that through a newsletter. And he's working according to some kind of structure. And so mostly per quarter or per half year, he releases a full body of work that's well thought out, it's well made, and he really builds momentum. The shop opens, and it's usually for a few hours. People can buy his ceramics. His wife is a wood artist. The shop goes open, and people are able to buy. And I know people set the alarms because they know the shop is opening then and then and then, and he sells out. So he gets all his revenue, and he can work then a few months on the new collection. And this is something you can work towards. He's made his name, he's marketed himself, he's well known also in the UK and Scotland, but that's something you can work towards. Build anticipation and momentum. And then I know artists that work annually. There's a wonderful Italian artist, I forget his name, but he releases one painting every year. That's also a business strategy. It's something that, if you sell your painting for 50,000 euros, and that's once a year, it's a beautiful, large piece of work that's very detailed. And the whole year people are waiting, what's he going to be releasing this year? It can sustain you throughout the whole year. The pressure's off, you have to market once, you have a launch plan for that annual release. So that's something maybe for someone to think about. So get very intentional about how you're going to be releasing your work, whether that's going to be a quick release, daily, weekly, a midway marvel. These are names that I've given that I also teach in my course. That's under 250 euros, for example. That's sort of in the middle range, price range that you can do once a month or once every quarter, or you're going to do that big, loud launch once or twice a year. Those are larger launches for over 250,000, a couple of thousand euro launches where you really are making a big deal of what you're doing. And this has a different runway. There are different phases in your launch, which we're going to be looking at in a minute. Besides the launches that I just mentioned, you could also work in collaboration. You can set a whole launch around a group project, or you can set up a whole social media project. You can make a specific Facebook page for a certain project that you're working on a certain theme, maybe in collaboration, and launch it on social media and say it's going to be opening this special Facebook group at this and this time. Come and join us, or a YouTube channel. Come and join us at this and this time. We're going to be releasing a product, a service, an announcement, and using social media very intentionally. So these are just things for you to think about. It all comes down to doing it intentionally and strategically. The 3 steps of a launch plan. It's not just I'm going to just be posting something and that's it. That's my launch plan. No, there are specific steps, and I've broken them down into 3 steps. You have the pre-launch, so everything before the rocket lifts off and your art is available for sale or your website goes live. That's sort of the pre-launch period. Then you have the launch, the moment supreme. It's the moment. And then you have the post-launch. And all 3 steps are important. And your communication will vary depending where you are in your plan. Where you are, which of these 3 steps are you doing? They need very intentional communication in all 3 phases. So this is something, the creative cycle, we look at the 4 quarters of the year. I've put December up top because that is an important revenue month. So we are working now from September to December. It's an interesting time to start launching. You can set up a launch plan for these next few months. So as you see here, this is 2 times a year. There's a few months pre-launch, so January, February, March are pre-launch months, and then you have your big release in March, for example. And you might do that twice a year, working towards September, depending on your art form, your followers, your genre, and also your style. So get clear on your calendar. Start with when you want to launch, put that down, big X on your calendar. This is launch date. Put it down on paper, get that date down. Because you're thinking, yes, somewhere down the road, I'm going to be releasing. No, I've seen. We need to have that incentive. We need to have the little push, that we need to have that dot on the calendar, say the 22nd of November, that's when my new body of work is going to be going out. That's launch date. That's where you should start. And then you reverse engineer and say, okay, I need 2 months to prepare because this is what I'm going to be launching. Remember last session, we spoke about SMART goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. Go back to those sessions that we did at the beginning of September to actually plan out your calendar. And your launch plan is part of that. And you'll find as you develop, go in your runway. The runway is the lead time. So if you look at the graph, you have your time and you have your intensity. That's on the vertical axis of this graph. Horizontal is your time, vertical is your intensity. So when you're just starting out with your new body of work, or you're working towards an event, then you start trickling it, you're mentioning it very briefly as a PS, maybe in your newsletter, or on your website. It's not front and center because you want to save that towards the launch when you really are building that anticipation. So you're consistently posting on your social channels, you're showing your process, your inspiration, you're sharing about that's something exciting is coming up. You're building anticipation, you're sending out that newsletter, you're building connection with your art audience. And this will intensify as your launch date approaches, whether that's a short launch, can be a week, or it can be a month, or it can be 3 months. So depending on what kind of launch you're going to be doing. The pre-launch time, actually, if you're not launching, you don't have something coming out, you are in pre-launch mode. You're actually continually in pre-launch because you're building momentum, you're building connection, you are interacting with your followers, you are asking questions, you are engaging with them. So the pre-launch time is always that open conversation, getting people, you are in their radar. They are knowing that you're working artist, you're active, you're not sleeping or traveling or doing nothing. You are active, you're working, and you're showing that through your channels, through your newsletter, on your website. You're sparking expectancy. You're saying there's something coming up. So the pre-launch is there to spark. And that expectancy and that momentum is your biggest marketing tool. You don't need companies to do that for you. Your passion is infectious. That really is your biggest marketing tool. But you need the means to be able to communicate that, finding the words, finding the images, the content to put on your different marketing channels. And then setting those goals, of course, in the pre-launch time, as we look at the cycle, you reverse engineer those goals and you're dealing with assumptions. So maybe you have a certain art form that's very laborsome, that's really large or expensive. You're working in high ranges. In your pre-launch time, in your newsletters, you can really start communicating how much time it's taken, or because really the intricacy of your art life. That it's not just something you're just doing overnight. It's something that has taken time and effort. So you are dealing with assumptions that art, people think, well, why is your art so expensive? You can really deal in the pre-launch time of certain assumptions people have, or how do you ship art? How do you frame art? How do you light art? How does art work in a space or in a business? You can share that already on your different communication channels. So using your website, using your social media, using your email, you're sharing your process, your inspiration, giving little sneak peeks. You're not just giving it all away on day one. Remember the curve, you are building that momentum towards launch date. So little sneak peeks, detail, subtle photography, just get creative with what images and words you're going to be using. And then you can make it something extra special. If you've got an email list, you can make it that extra special because they get sort of first access to a certain body of work. You get a special watch party with them and people that are already invested in you. So you're going to create sort of a VIP experience for them. Something for you to think about. This is Misha Mortzley. She's also alumni of the Working Artist course. And she set up a virtual exhibition at the end of last year. Which she just didn't announce and say, okay, I'm going to be live then and then come and see my new work. No, she worked according to a structure. The structure she learns also in the course. That's something that we really look at. How could you work according to a plan? When are you going to be releasing what? And what kind of words you're going to be using, and your emails and your images. And she made beautiful. She's a graphic artist, so this is something that was totally so much fun for her, is that she sent out an invite to her email list and to people that she had met in person. So that, and then there was a reminder. It wasn't just an invite and say, okay, come, it's in 1 week, I expect you there, or I'd love to see you there. She sent out a regular email sequence. We looked at that 2 months ago when we looked at email, the importance of email. Have a look at those replays because we talk about the email sequence. To send a reminder, tonight is the exhibition, tonight is the opening, and then shortly before it, like a few or an hour, you can do it beforehand, a reminder. People are busy, guys. They have so much on their plate. They see so many things. You need to remind them that things are coming. This is part of your launch plan, intensifying it as you are coming to launch date. But please follow Mish. She's a wonderful, inspiring working artist and has some cool events coming up and exhibitions. And so it's a wonderful person to follow along. Then it's launch date. The day has come that you're going to show a new collection, your latest body of work, a creative workshop, a book release, a community project, etc. There are just so many things where you can and how you can launch. Using your social channels, so say, okay, today is the day, the shop is open, do a countdown button, get people know on different channels that you are opening. the shop is open, the products are available, and that you can do more sales and inspiration type posts. These are different kinds of posts that you can be doing, and they'll make that extra special for your group or for your list. Then post launching, usually people say, okay, I've had my exhibition, I'm exhausted, I'm going to fall down on my couch and do absolutely nothing for the next few weeks, which is such a pity. You build up all this momentum, then you have the release, and then it's like nothing. So often I think, oh, there's so many lost moments for creatives here. Your post launch is just as important as your launch. Statistics tell us that art is not usually sold at exhibitions or at an event. It's usually afterwards people go home, they're thinking about it, they were inspired. What if you could just put out an email thanking people for showing up, sharing, the piece that was sold that you were surprised by, maybe that's the piece that was sold there, or the pieces that are still available, or that there's something extra special on your website for the people that were at the exhibition. Create an event after your physical, if it was an in-person experience. And I think that's something we're really moving towards now, because we've been online so much for these last few year and a half nearly with COVID, is that your online and in-person will totally should be aligned with one another. So give people the opportunity to learn more about you, see more of your work, have a closer look at what they maybe saw at the exhibition, use QR codes, continue the conversation, ask questions, keep the conversation going. You can even do an upsell. For example, if you've given a workshop or if you've had an event, give people an opportunity to download a PDF or to upload your book for a certain price. So you're not just selling at an event, you're also upselling after the event. So have a look at your strategy. What is your post-launch looking like? Do you have a strategy there? What does your launch time look like? And what does your post-launch look like? Do you have a plan for after an event has finished? And how can you maximize that on your social channels, your website, your email? You can share testimonials and stories of people that were there, maybe quotes of people that interacted with your art. And you could do a reflection blog or post or story or live on YouTube or on your social channels, and then sending an email to your customers. So these are all part of your launch plan. And remember, if you're not launching, you are pre-launching. So everything that you're doing, you maybe on social media think, yeah, I'm just here because I need to be. It's part of a plan. It's part of something that's going to bring momentum, so people will see, understand, and remember you once. And then when launch time comes, you're there. They are ready to buy. They're ready to engage. They're ready to to invest in you. So this launch plan is super important. So I just love to hear from you in the audience, in the group. Who of you have been working according to a launch plan? Is it something that you've done daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly? Or is it something you aspire to? Maybe you're thinking now, yes, I need to get more structured, that a monthly launch plan will work for you, or a quarterly or an annual launch plan. Just quickly jot it down in the comment area. Then I'd love to know if you've given it some thought, and also what you've been busy with. I see Miles says here, I went to Florence and Rome and painted horses on fountains, still am. Made the announcements, it's outside of what I usually do, so I'm going to call it a challenge and have as a skill building of other mediums. Good idea, Miles. And this is a new avenue for you. You can take people along on that journey, and people are interested. And if you share images and video, which I know you do very well, people can follow along with you. So well done. Look forward to seeing how that all comes together for you. So let me know, guys, if you have been working according to a launch plan. Also, if you have any questions for this session, a lot of information, and but it's going to make a world of difference for your art and for your art business. Also in the replay, guys, if you're watching, then please add your comments and your Q&A questions, because this is something we'll continue to talk about in the group. Next week, we'll definitely be focusing too on the creation cycle and also how you can elevate your art so that you can make more impact, you have better launches, and to communicate far more clearly with your art audience. Any questions out there? Let me know in the comment area, or if it's clear. Last week I also talked about breaking your goals down into quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily goals. So maybe it may seem totally overwhelming. You think, yes, Sonia, want the launch, but I don't know where to start. Try and break it down into small little steps. What can you do this afternoon to take you one step closer to your launch? What can you do next week? What do you need to do to bring you closer towards your launch date? So reverse engineering and breaking it down into smaller increments so that you don't feel overwhelmed. And that's why putting it on paper makes a huge difference. Maria says, I'm trying to launch little sculptures, which are documented through Insta stories more intentionally. Good, Monica. Monica is a beautiful stone sculptor from the south of Germany. Please follow along on her Insta feed. Monica, if you just throw your handle out there, your Instagram handle in the comments, then people can follow along. But making sculptures, of course, is a laborsome art form. It takes a long time, especially the beautiful sculptures Monica makes. But being very strategically making those smaller sculptures that take less time, and then using the strategy of Insta stories. So people are following along. They're seeing your content, they're seeing your process. And Monica makes beautiful stories all about her process, seeing her working the stone, and it's just you get an idea of her whole life as a working artist. So please follow along. Thank you for sharing that, Monica. Jan says that he's working on a music series, tries to finish and launch a new painting bi-weekly. Doesn't work 100%, but it did help me be more active with my brushes and knives and with my imagination. Yeah, not just with my imagination. That's already such a good reason to get into some kind of structure, because it helps you get into your creative routine. So well done, Jan. And keep going, keep going, keep going, because people are looking, people are seeing, and people are following along more than what you may think. So keep up the momentum. It's going to pay off. Thank you, Monica, for sharing your URL. Anyone else would like to have a question or would like to share how they've incorporated launching, maybe some marketing steps that you've done to get your art seen and heard, then please throw them in the comments, or there are conversations going on in the feed. So you are welcome to join in there. Just going to wait a second. If there's still any questions, please let me know. It was wonderful to be with you here from sunny South Africa, right wherever you are in the world. As I said, we are here regularly on a Wednesday afternoon with these sessions talking art and art business. So hopefully you were inspired and that you have more clarity about how you can set up a launch plan and what it entails. Just see a last comment come in that Jan is busy with Inktober. I know you were busy with that last year too, which also helped, which is a challenge, whether that's weekly or monthly or on a regular basis. Have a look at inktober.com, what Jan just put in the comments. So thank you, Jan, for adding that. I'm going to be closing the session. Thank you so much for being here once again. Have a listen to the replays. They are available if you maybe were away the summer months. We were here throughout June, July, and September. There are all kinds of sessions all about communication, marketing, and building your art business that are available for you. I wish you all the best. Next week, we are going to be back with another live session at 1 p.m. CET, right here at this time, this place, looking at creating your art with more impact. How can you get more impact with your creative endeavors with your art and your art business? Okay, guys, thanks again. See you next time and have a good week. The rest of the week, a lot of inspiration. Keep making your beautiful art, and I'll see you again in the next live session. Bye bye.